Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Mike Armstrong podcast show. And this evening, I'm joined by Jeanette Deatherage, who's from Florida in the USA. And she's an independent sales director at Mary Kay. And how are you doing today, Jeanette? You okay?
I'm doing great. We have our Florida rain going on, but I'm home and I'm doing well. Thank you.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. That's good to hear. So just for the people on the YouTube channel, obviously the podcasters won't notice any difference anyway, but Jeanette's decided just to keep her picture up rather than the video, just to be a bit more, I suppose, relaxed. So just wanted to sort of, first of all, start by asking you a little bit about what you do, and also a little bit about maybe the history that's led you up to what you do.
Sure. As I said, I'm an independent sales director with Mary Kay. I actually started my business 35 years ago as a beauty consultant. And at that time, what you did, you took two medium-sized pink cases and you actually went into a customer's home and we did what we call a party, and that had about 6 people. And we did what we said, we called it teach, not touch. We had a manual and a flip chart, and we showed our customers how to wear their makeup. So when we left, they knew how to put their makeup on rather than the what was going on everywhere else. You would go to a salon and somebody would apply your makeup. And then when you went home, you had no idea how to wear that makeup. So then you'd have to keep going back to that salon, where what we would do is we'd actually teach them how to do it themselves.
Yeah, okay. So it's sort of like a makeup party and tutorial all in one sort of thing.
Absolutely. And we actually call them skincare classes, even though many people on the outside refer them to as a party, but
Yeah.
we did call them skincare classes.
Okay. And you've been doing that for 35 years?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So my guess is things have changed quite a lot in that time.
They definitely have. Actually, I was doing a lot of parties and trying to remember, 8 years after being a consultant, I stepped up what I did, meaning I worked a lot harder, maybe more like 20, 30 hours a week rather than 10. And I became an independent sales director. Actually, first I earned the use of my first Mary Kay car as a consultant. That was probably about maybe 6 years into the business. And Mary Kay is they actually give more cars away than we don't give them away. You earn the use of a car. But our car program is either the first or the second largest worldwide.
Okay. And so I was that was a question I was going to ask. Are Mary Kay global, or are they just in the States? Because I've not heard of them, but I'm probably not the target audience, so I probably shouldn't have.
No, well, actually, we do have men that sell Mary Kay, and we actually have a men's line, so they do use the product. But you're right. Generally, when you think of Mary Kay, you think of a woman using it. But we're both men and women. But yes, we are global. We didn't start out global. We started in Dallas, Texas. That's where Mary Kay is actually a real person. She has passed now, but Mary Kay Ash opened the company after she retired from sales herself. She decided she was tired of men telling her what to do, and men made a lot more money than women did. So she wanted to open a company for women, and she did that in 1963. But since 1963, we have become global. We are in 47 countries around the world.
Oh, that's good. That's a good success story. So, has Mary Kay had a child, a daughter or son that's taken over the business, or is it just a board that runs it now, or what?
Well, actually, her son, Richard, started the company when he was only 20. The two of them ran the company together. And then Richard stayed with us quite a long time. But now a couple of her grandchildren, Ryan is Richard's son. Ryan is in the head of the Mary Kay Foundation, which is a huge foundation that does, we do a lot of education for skin cancer, but we also have a department helping women in domestic violence. So that's the Mary Kay Ash Charitable Foundation, and her grandson is running that. Her granddaughter, Karen, is also very involved, but there is no, the regular cosmetic part of it. I don't believe there's a family member involved right now, unless it's Karen. It could be Karen.
Okay. My guess is, are you quite high up in that organization now, considering you've been there a long time?
I'm really not. I'm kind of midway. It starts as a consultant, and then there's about 3 levels of consultantship, and then it goes into future director and then director. And I was a senior director at one time, which means you have another director that's under you. We're considered direct sales, but some people may look at it as multi-level. But you don't necessarily multi-level. You can't go above the person that recruited you. But in this company, you promote yourself as hard as you work. And frankly, I moved 13 times in 38 years, so I have not put forth the effort that maybe some people have. There's been people that have made national sales director, which is the highest level, and their commissions are amazing. And some people have done that in maybe 3 or 4 years. So it really doesn't depend on how long you're doing it. It's how many hours a week you put into the business.
Yeah, or how much effort, or what strategy you use, or all of that. Because I used to be a corporate sales director of a fast growth tech startup business myself, and we grew rapidly. But a lot of that was down to, to be honest with you, to a lot of it was down to my strategies. I'm a very strategic thinker, and I run the corporate sales team. So I dealt with the 10 million plus turnover businesses selling B2B, business to business.
Oh, yes, yes.
So, a lot of that was clever strategy, really. Hard work, clever strategy, and, we were bespoke developing products aimed at corporate companies. So also, the product offering as well. If you're selling something good that people need, then you're going to grow quicker than if you're selling stuff that is only okay and people don't so much need it,
Well, I will have to say, our line, Mary Kay, was actually awarded essential business, meaning that it didn't close. The warehouse or the manufacturing company closed, I think, for a couple days during COVID. But then because it was awarded essential, everybody went back to work. So self-care products are considered essential during COVID.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so you haven't had a negative effect then, really, but you probably had to. Do you sell online?
Oh, I sell mostly online. I've moved so many times. My customers that did stay with me, they're all over the country. So I've been selling online even before COVID. But right now, that is the only way that we can sell is online. We can do virtual parties. I haven't really grasped that whole pivot where people videotape themselves. And what I do have a lot of friends that do, so I can show my friends' videos to somebody else, and then they can still order from me. So it's not necessary that, I mean, I probably should get on video, but I haven't had that courage, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, I think, myself, I never really had that courage. I've been doing it for about a year or two, but really just dipping my toe in the water for the last couple of years. And then since lockdown, I've just been doing video every day. I started off doing podcast every day, and I've done about 600 episodes on my podcast. And then I started doing YouTube as well. I started videoing it on Zoom like we are now. And I'm really, really comfortable in front of a camera, but it didn't take much for me because I've been in sales for 30 years, as have you. So, we're used to talking anyway. So it's just getting comfortable on talking to a screen rather than talking to a person.
Yes, yes.
But I would encourage you to do it. Something which I would encourage you to do is stick a Zoom call on, stick your camera on, and talk to your camera. So film yourself talking to the camera on Zoom, and then when you finish, end the call, and you'll get a video that pops up onto your desktop. And just watch the video and just keep doing it and keep improving until you get better. Like some people don't like me, I don't really care what other people think. So I just put my videos live, and I went through that learning process live. So if you have a look back at some of my old videos, they're rubbish because, you know, I'm a good salesperson, and a good salesperson is used to selling to somebody, and so therefore I respond and react to somebody. So talking to a phone or a screen or whatever is quite a difficult thing to do. So when I first started, my personality didn't come out, or it was very rigid and very sort of slow and pathetic really. But everyone starts somewhere, and that's most of the greats, speakers and people on video and all that, they all started somewhere, and most of them would look back and go they weren't very good. And the only way you get good at something is by doing lots of it. So, but so I put mine live, and you can track that and see the development. But if you're not happy with that or comfortable with that, you just watch them to yourself and just keep filming them. Eventually, you'll see one that you're happy with, and then you can put that one live. There we are. That's it. There's nothing. You've got nothing to lose at the end of the day. There's nothing to lose. Like, you know what I mean? Welcome, and well
There
done
you
for
go.
coming
It's just
live.
the two of us, so I guess I can do it.
It's just a chat, and to be honest, it doesn't. When it's you and the screen, it's just the one of you. How many people look at it or not is immaterial, really. What does it matter?
Right.
Most of the time you're never going to meet
Right.
the rest of you, ever again anyway, and it doesn't really matter. Now, I think if you have a look at most of the top speakers on the planet, most of them are men. Yeah. And that shouldn't be the case, because
Yes.
women have got just good things to talk about as well. I think men, in my experience, are just slightly more confident than women usually. Women are a little bit more reserved, a bit more shy, etc. Just as a whole, it's not a sweeping, it's a bit of a generalist sweeping statement, but I used to manage a team of 17 sales guys. 12 of them were women, 5 of them were men. So I'd say I'm probably qualified to judge salespeople, if you like. I've been in sales all my life. Spent 30 years, since I was 11 selling, since I was 15 in employed sales. So I'd say I'm pretty qualified to say, and in my experience, just men are a little bit more confident than women, and they have no right to be. They just are. There's no reason for it, really. I just think women are a lot more worried about like what people are going to think of them, or whether their hair's done right, whereas men don't worry about that so much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You could care less if your hair is out of place. If my hair was not styled, I would not have put the camera on, but I had something else I was supposed to do today, so I put my makeup on and did my hair. But if my hair and makeup are not done, and that's why when we do our Zoom network on Thursday, which is today's Wednesday. That's why most of the time I don't have my camera on when we do speed networking, because if I haven't done my hair and makeup, I will not show anybody.
No. Whereas, I wake up and rock up every day. Like, you know what I mean? I'll turn up in whatever situation. Yeah, I want to do my hair and, keep it trim and all that. But, if it's not 100%, if it's 70% or 50%, I'll still go on anyway. I don't care. Like, I really don't care, And that's not, I don't care about my appearance or my hair. I just don't care what other people think. It's nothing to do with them, really.
Right.
I only care about the opinions of people I care about the opinions of, and the rest of the people I don't really care. So ultimately, that is an inner confidence and inner belief, if you like. And I just think, in my experience, it tends to be more men than women. And if you look at the global speaking circuit, in which I study quite a lot, there's people like Sharon Lecter, and there's only a handful of women you can think of who are like Elena Cardone, who are up there, on the top echelons of speaking. So as you think about men, there's like Brian Tracy, Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins,
Zig Ziglar.
Zig Ziglar, Bob Proctor. Loads, these are just they come off your tongue. Dr. John DeMartini, and I think so I don't know why. On the same extent, I study that, and there's not many Brits, there's not many Europeans, all American, and now Americans are more gobby than Brits. Yeah, less reserved. Yeah,
right.
So that has to be part of the effect of why there's much more global entrepreneurs and top speakers. I think also there's another thing as well. It's also the demand, because in America everyone's chasing the American dream, so the American public is more into personal development, motivation, and all of that. I would say I'm much more American in my mindset than British. Yeah, because I'm all about winning and globalization and dominating the world and all of that. Yeah. So I'm not typically British, which is why I am actually gunning for one of those spots. I'm going for becoming a global speaker. That's one of my
Oh, that's wonderful.
that's one of my ambitions, like, because one, I think the UK, Wales in particular, are underrepresented on a global basis.
Hmm. Well, I am taking a Tony Robbins course, so if you're interested in more information on that, I'll be happy to share it with you.
Yeah, I'll have a listen to that. I'm actually on an international speaking course myself, starting next Tuesday. We're supposed to start this Tuesday, yesterday.
And
But
who's it with?
it's with a guy called Clinton Young. He's a global speaker, and he educates people on how to become world-class speaker, basically.
Cool. Yeah.
So
I've
I'm
not
going on
heard of
that
him.
course. I'm going on that course. To be honest with you, I probably don't need it. I'll become a world-class speaker on my own. I study all the world-class speakers, that there are at the moment. I listen to them constantly on audiobook.
Right.
So,
but you need that in. That's the thing. You need that connection.
The reason I'm joining the speaking thing is because I want to get into the speaking circuit, and so I want to learn. I want to learn how to crack the code of getting the gigs, if you like.
Right.
That's the bit I need to learn. But the speaking bit, if you speak for a long time, you're going to become good at it, aren't you? If you know your subject inside and out. I know my subject matter inside and out. I've been doing it for 30 years.
That's great.
So I'm confident in what I'm speaking about. So that gives you confidence. I'm also authentic. I don't want to be polished or perfect. I want to be me.
Right. That's good. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
So who can be better than me?
That's right. That's great.
I am the best people I'll ever be.
I think I've learned a lot with our Thursday social, our speed networking. I've learned a lot from that.
Yeah. Well, the more gigs you do, like I've been doing, like I'm a professional speaker at the end of the day. I've done over 600 podcast episodes in 4 months or something. I've been on probably the equivalent of 6 to 10 online networking events a week since the beginning of lockdown. So that's 6 months of speaking to entrepreneurs non-stop, 40, 50 in a room, non-stop, 10 times a week, for
that's awesome.
6 weeks. I'm a professional speaker, you know what I mean? If you want to become good at something, put the hours in.
Right. That's That's wonderful.
Yeah. But also, if you want to be confident in speaking and be sure of what you're doing, know your subject matter, speak it a lot,
right,
and own it.
Right.
Own what you're saying. That's it. I'm not directing this directly at you, just the audience and everything, but a bit of you.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you know your stuff. You've been doing it for 35 years.
Right.
There's not a question I couldn't ask you that you can't answer about makeup and skincare and all of that. So just understand that, you are an expert. And just if you can carry that off and pull that off, then I've been told a load of times over online events and networking and that sort of thing that I inspire people. So if you speak lots and you believe in what you're doing and you have high energy and you impact, it does inspire people, because most people would prefer to be better speakers than they are. So therefore, when they see somebody who's owning it and is confident in it, they'll appreciate it. They think, you own your space and you're confident in who you are, and confidence is something that is attractive to people anyway, something people comment on. And therefore, when you then have confidence and you know what you're talking about and you just deliver it like you know what you're talking about, you get compliments, and compliments improve your confidence.
Right. That's good.
It's like a never-ending circle, isn't it, really?
Yes, very much. So, well, I was a speaker on someone's Zoom meeting this week. She wanted me to tell my 15-minute story. We call it an I story. And what that means, what did I do to start Mary Kay? So I did that for her this week. And then about 4 weeks, really when COVID first started, one of my friends owns a group that's called Lead From Within. And the challenge was get on the computer and do your first little video. This is when COVID first started. I said, oh my gosh, I haven't been to a salon in 4 months. There's no way I can do a video. And she says, oh no, Jeanette. She says, I want you to get on with your hair not done and your makeup not done. So I literally did a video with no makeup and my hair was a disaster. And I did a 6-minute video. It's supposed to be 2 minutes and I did 6 minutes, but it turned out really well.
There we are, Lucy. Because the thing is as well, we're much more self-critical of ourselves than other people are of us anyway. So a lot of it is
Right.
all what we build up in our own head anyway. You know, like I've met loads of women and they're like, oh, look, my nose or my bum is big or any of that. And really, most people don't notice that, you know, until you draw their attention. They're not
Right.
looking in as much detail as you are at yourself, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
self-analyzing and self-critique. And you know, usually people who are a little bit self-conscious now, usually maybe somebody said a remark, you know, a flippant remark, and, you know, and then it's gnawed away in their head. And,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, we do. We store it. You guys
Yeah.
don't. You let it roll right off your back. Well, we store it. I have something to help me out with that. Do you see what this is?
Yeah, a duck.
Little rubber duck. It's what you guys do. You just let it roll right off your back. And my brother encouraged me to get one of those to remind myself, let it just roll off my back.
Yeah. And the way I look at it is like so many people criticize so many other people, but I'm a lion and I don't really care what the sheep got to say. You know what I
Is
mean?
that what your flag? What is that flag behind you?
That's my Welsh national flag. That's my country flag, that is, and it's a dragon on there. And you know, so the thing is in Wales. So Wales is obviously part of the UK, part of Great Britain. The flag that people represent that notice is the British flag, you know, with the cross.
Right.
Our
Right.
red, white, and blue. You know, not the American one. But the Britain's made up of England, which is the sort of Anglo-Saxon part of the UK. It's the bit that have been invaded by the Normans and the Romans and everyone in history. But the three other countries of the UK, well, there's actually three countries in the UK and a separate country, is Wales, Scotland, and Ireland. Yeah. So
Okay.
Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, which is part of the UK, and then there's the Republic of Ireland, which is its own country. It broke away from the UK, like, you know.
Okay.
And that's the bit that the Americans always love, is the Celtic countries, right? Like Wales, Ireland, and Scotland, because it's like Braveheart, you know, it's like the Celtic strong warrior type things like that.
Yeah.
And that's what, you know, so Wales is full of, like, you know, strong warrior people, like, you know, we punched above our weight. As we're a tiny little country. We're like, you know, probably the equivalent of something like Rhode Island as a state, you know.
Oh my goodness.
We're like
yes.
one of the little ones, like, you know, small population and stuff. But
Wow.
we had the best, the most expensive ever footballer at the time. He went to
Really?
so that's like soccer, come from a little country in Wales.
Oh yes, like soccer. Yes, not like our football.
No, not your footballer, but soccer. But out of the whole world, yeah, and we're the smallest place. We had the most expensive footballer in the world for a while.
That's great.
And we've done well in the rugby, you know, like this, the All Blacks who do well at the rugby, and then we're up there, you know, with one of the most successful teams, you know, outside of the Southern Hemisphere. And you know, we won the Tour de France, which is a cycling race. We had a winner win that. So we win stuff on a global basis, even though we're a tiny country.
Right.
But because it's a country full of hard workers, we used to be the coal miners. It's where all the coal mine. In fact, the first £1 million check in the world happened in the coal exchange in Cardiff, which is where I'm from, the capital city of Wales, and it was built on the wealth of coal, because we had coal in our hills. Yeah, so we was a big part of the Industrial Revolution, because we provided the coal for all the machinery and everything, and the trains and all of that. So we're a little place, but we punch above our weight on a global basis, really, especially in a lot of sports, which I'm a massive sports fan. And that competitive, I think it's that warrior. So Wales, the history of Wales, all of the Saxons and countries around us used to sort of fight over Britain because we were an island and we were a good strategic place to set yourself to be able to dominate Europe and that sort of thing. We were a good place. And lots of, so England, Anglo-Saxons, they're made up of like the Vikings and a lot of different races over the years, yeah. But Wales used to stand for outsiders, because loads of countries used to dominate the main part of the UK, which was England, the big populous part and everything. But they couldn't ever dominate Wales because the outsiders, the Celtic folk, used to go to the hills. Because it's very hilly now, they could protect themselves. Even if there was a small number of men, they could fight off all the armies. So they got used to that sort of battling warrior culture. And I think that's a big part of, you know, and then it was the coal mining. So it was hard, you know, hard graft. You know, those men were tough. working down 16 hours a day
Mhm.
or 14 hours a day, 12 hours down the pit, covered in black. And so I think just it's a country full of warriors. And since the battling's over and the coal mining's over now as well, but since that, those warrior types, those hard-working types genetically that have been fed down generations, they now go off and compete on the world stage in
Mhm.
sports in a lot of way. And I love sport. I'm
Mhm.
passionate about sport because I love competition. I love battling. And so sport is something where you can pit yourself against other people. And that's the reason why I love business as well, because business and sport's very similar,
Right.
very competitive,
Actually, I came from a farming family. My mom and dad owned like 50 milking cows.
Yeah.
So I come from Wisconsin, and that's more that type of work than the coal mines. Like you said, everybody's was farmers up in the Midwest, and that's
Yeah,
the family I came from.
yeah, they're tough people as well. Like, that's similar to Texans. Like, you know what I mean? The Texans, I would say, come across as somebody who I haven't spent a lot of time in America. I've been to Vegas, I've been to Hawaii, I've done the tourist
Oh,
sort of things, but that's not
yeah.
America. That's like,
No.
Las Vegas and Hawaii. But I haven't
Yeah,
spent a lot
that's
of
not
time in America.
American.
But Texas, is somewhere I'd say that people
Mm,
come across as being rough and tough, like,
yeah. I really advise you to go to the Midwest if you really want to see where America is. Go to
Yeah.
the Midwest.
Well, that's it. Well, I see the Midwest and Texas as similar. Cowboy people, cowboy country, all states,
Yeah, no,
and all that. No,
no,
it's not. Okay,
no.
that's how I see it from my perspective of where I'm based in the movies and that sort of thing. Like, but
Yeah, no, you need to go. Military, we've been all over the world, well,
yeah,
I'm sorry, not really all over the world, all over the country. And then we've been to Japan twice for assignments. And then I visited Europe, but I don't really know that much about Europe. But no, if you really want to know the heart of America, it would be the Midwest, definitely.
yeah. Well, I was going to ask you a bit about your vet's career because you told me when we were setting up this podcast that you were a veteran. So, what did you do in the forces?
So first of all, my brother was in Vietnam and he came home when I was 4 years old. So I fell in love with the uniform. So when I was 19 out of high school, I said, I think it's time to join the military. So I joined the Air Force and I went to training in Texas. And then I went to Mississippi for my advanced training. It was like a 9-month school. And I met my husband. He saw me in the squadron and he knew the day he met me that he wanted to marry me. So we got married like 2 weeks later. And then we moved to Oklahoma and I was a technician. I was supposed to fix electronics. That was my career field because I had high math scores, but I hated it, absolutely hated it. So the public affairs guy found me and he says, why don't you come work for me? So my boss is like, yeah, you really hate your job working with it was 21 guys to every one woman. I just really hated it. So she says, go ahead. I'm going to let you go work for public affairs. So then I took pictures and wrote newspaper articles. And then the Air Force is like, oh, no, 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 no. We paid for your training to be a technician. We're going to send you to the Philippines. And I was like, oh, no, I'm not going to the Philippines without my husband. So I got out after 3 years and I had to give back as many months that I had left in the Air Force in my assignment. I had to give back twice that many to the Air Force reserves. So then I just worked in the military one weekend a month and then 2 weeks a year. If there was war, the reservist gets called back up and you go full time. But I was lucky enough there was no war. So I stayed in the reserves for about 3 years. While in the meantime, my husband was working as an airborne radar technician with the AWACS. So if you ever saw the airplane with the black and white frisbee, he was the radar technician that fixed that frisbee, and he did that for 20 years. And then for a few more years, he worked on the J-Stars, which had the radar on the bottom of the airplane. And then after that, he went to work as like he was a senior enlisted person for the school down in Alabama. And then he was a senior person on the whole base over in Tyndall Air Force Base, Florida. That's where they had the big Hurricane 5, the big horrible hurricane in 2017. But thankfully we were already we were no longer in that city. We had already moved to Tallahassee by that time.
Okay, so the reason you moved around a lot is obviously because of his and your jobs, if you like. So you moved for work, etc. Yeah, and for placement in
Yes.
the army and that. Um,
Yes.
what do you do as a reservist? Because I almost signed up as a reservist just before COVID. I was due to have an interview, and it got called off. It got called off for the COVID, and so they might get in touch with me again when things all get back to normal and that. But I quite like, I'm an all action kind of guy, and I quite like doing variety and stuff. So I seen a thing they were looking for reservists, and I thought, yeah, I'll sign up for it. And I didn't really know what it involved, but I knew it'd probably be a bit of excitement and a bit of hours here and there. But what was you doing in your reserve time?
It really is very exciting. But as a reservist, you have what's called a job. We call it in the Air Force, it was your career field. You had like a code, and I was a 304. That was and then it's like 30471, 30431, 30451, 30471. And that 3, 5, and 7 is whatever level of education you have in that career field. So your career field has a job code in the U.S. Air Force, but there's many, many different job codes that you choose whatever your skill set matches. So like I said, I had high skills in math, so I was an electronics technician, but that was not a skill I liked. I was much better in public affairs, but that was also another job code. So you're in the Air Force, in the U.S. Air Force, you're coded by whatever specific job you work. You fall under a certain code. So in the reserves, same thing. You just work whatever code. It could be, you could be a technician, you could be maybe you're an operator. So it really just depends on what your code is, and what equipment you're working is also what code it is. Like I said, my husband worked on the AWACS airplane. I worked on a mobile TACAN, which was it helped land the airplanes. He flew on the airplanes. So it just depends whatever job you do. And then as a reservist, you usually do that. You train 2 days a month, and then like I said, you'll probably call it summer camp. It's not really camp. You work two weeks a year. But if there's a war, or if there's something really, really, really important going on, you're going to get called to active duty, and then they can keep you as long as they need you. Sometimes you can get called up in the reserves. You could get called up to active duty for 4 or 5 months. It could be maybe just 2 weeks, or it could be a whole year. If there's a lot of bad stuff going on and they need to have more people, they'll take the reservists and they'll call them up to active duty. Usually the president has to sign. If it's something really serious, the president will say, okay, I'm calling out this many people to active duty.
Yeah, so when you're doing reserves, it's mostly just keeping fresh with your skills and stuff, or do you actually go to do a day's work, if you like? Do you go to a day's work?
No, you would probably go to a day's work for 2 days a month, or like you said, keep up your training. There's different things that you have to train on. You're required to train every year. They sign off on certain skills that you have to do, but you're either going to be training or you'll be doing 2 days of work, but then you'll always do that 2 weeks a year also.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sounds that's interesting. So, are there any websites, social media, anything where people can get in touch with if they're interested in, joining Mary Kay or?
With Mary Kay, no, we hand select who we work with. There is a marykay.com website to learn more about the company, but we also have our own individual websites. Like my website is www.marykay.com/Jeanette D, and you'd find out everything, that all the products they sell. You'd learn about the company. But we like to hand select who we work with, because it really needs to be a person that represents our company. And just as an example, somebody was trying to sell me an electronic business card. And I thought, oh, that sounds kind of cool. I could do that. And he showed me how he's going to make the business card by going to my website and just picking up things that were just Mary Kay. And he was going to put my name on it. And I said, well, before you do that, I better write a note to the legal department to see if I'm allowed to do that. And I wrote to the legal department. They said, oh, no. We only have one company that's allowed to use the Mary Kay name. And then you can buy your business cards from that company, or you can get jackets or shirts or whatever else I want to get. But that one company has the permission to legally use the Mary Kay name, where I would not be allowed, you know, I was not able to buy that digital business card because it was not approved. So we're very particular to protect the Mary Kay name.
Yeah. Okay. All right. But and obviously you're on LinkedIn as well. If people want to reach out and connect with you because they want
Yes.
to do business with
Yes.
you, or they got some opportunities for you, etc.
Yes.
And yeah, other than obviously your vet past and the Mary Kay, have you been involved in any other sort of aspects of business or hobbyists or anything in the past?
Well, when we lived in Tallahassee, I didn't know a lot of people. Let me back up. We lived in, like I said, Panama City for like 10 years. And then we moved to Tallahassee. My husband has stage 4 prostate cancer. And my daughter was going to law school in Tallahassee. And she's like, you know, can you please come live closer to me? I want to make sure I keep an eye on Dad and everything. So we moved to Tallahassee, and I was kind of depressed. I didn't know anybody. I didn't really feel like resetting my business and everything. So I decided to volunteer. And I volunteered 4 hours at I don't know if you know, I volunteered 4
Okay.
hours at the library every week. I volunteered 4 hours at the Veterans Hospital. But I volunteered 8 hours a week at a food bank, which was really cool. This food bank was called Second Harvest, and they were an amazing food bank that really fed all the hungry in in the bend of, if you look at Florida, there's kind of a panhandle and sort of a bend where it turns, and that's where they call that. Well, all I can think of is the bend. But so I worked at this food bank for a year, and when I left, they actually named their volunteer award the Jeanette Deatherage Service Volunteer Award. So now anybody else who works there and they earn the award, it will actually have my name on it.
Oh, that's good. You must have done a good job volunteering for a while then.
I did.
Yeah,
It was a lot of fun.
that's good. Yeah, and I like to help people as well. So helping people is it makes you feel good, you know, and it does
Yes.
good, you know. So it creates good momentum, good energy, really. And I've actually created a formula during lockdown, which was called the Smart Happiness Formula.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it's basically about like a daily ritual or routine of things to do to make yourself
Mhm.
happier. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
and the SMART stands for sleep, meditation, ability to perform, which is exercise, nutrition, and hydration. Just making sure
Mhm.
you look after yourself. Yeah, and then it's random acts of kindness and targets.
Oh,
Yeah, and if
well,
you
what's
do
the
random
targets?
acts, so targets is like setting goals, like daily,
Okay.
so that you can have the anticipation of looking forward to hitting the goals, but
Right.
also you can if you push the goals to just beyond your reach, or not
Mhm.
just beyond your reach, but so you're stretching to reach them,
Right.
then
Right.
they give you satisfaction that you actually achieve them.
Mhm.
So like
That's awesome.
so I was living that formula at the time, which is how it come out of me, and I'm going to start teaching people that for the rest of my life because I know
Wow.
it works for me, and
Right.
it
Right.
works. It'll work for them. And most people don't do all. There's 5 acronyms in
Right.
SMART. It's actually 7 things. Yeah, because I put ability to perform into 3 things because I
Okay.
had S, M, R, and G, and I managed to turn G into T. Then I had S, M, R, and T. I needed an A. I could have had
Oh,
I could have had action, which covers exercise, or
right.
activity, which covers
Right.
exercise. But to
Yeah.
me, exercise, nutrition, and hydration are the
Right.
3 things you've got to do to
Yeah.
keep yourself good.
Yeah.
So those things don't just come under activity; they come under ability to perform. You know,
Mhm.
things that you need to do to
Right.
keep your ability to perform going. Yeah, because if you drop hydration, nutrition, or exercise out of your routine, you'll
Mhm.
lose your ability to perform or
Right.
consistently. You know,
Right.
so
Are
the
these going to be
smart.
on podcast, or where are you going to have them?
So I put them on my podcast for free. I
Okay.
educate people. I like educating people for free. I don't charge, but I'm going to create an online course, which is just
Okay.
a bit more about the things you can do. So the routine I'll give for free, but just a bit more information about what to do to make sure you're cracking the routine. Yeah.
Right.
I'm
Right.
going to sell that as like an ebook or something one day when I get around to creating it. But a big part of my happiness is success, which is why the T's in there as well, because the T is important, because achievement is what makes most people happy. You know, achieving things is what makes people happy. So,
Right.
so the actual, when I come up with the 5-step happiness formula, that led on to me thinking about what makes me happy as well as that, which is success. So I also come up with a 7-step success formula.
Okay.
So, and the 7-step success formula is more, the happiness one is a daily routine. The success formula is a lifetime mission. Yeah.
Right.
It's like areas you need to grow in your life to become more successful. And they are systems, technology, relationships, efficiency, action, marketing, and sales.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Basically, if you grow those 7 pots, so if you always make sure those pots are full and you keep investing in those pots, developing, growing, etc., you cannot fail. You can't not become more successful.
Right. Right.
Because they're
But
all.
what is your actual, I mean, it sounds like you probably have a few income streams, but what's your main income stream?
So I'm a marketing agency, sales and marketing consultant, strategist, that sort of thing. So that's my main income stream. But I've pivoted during the lockdown to become a speaker, mentor, coach, and podcaster. And I'm looking for podcasting and speaking to become my main income streams. But I'm in a transitional phase at the moment. So I've done 620 odd episodes on my podcast because I need to get the numbers up so I can get a sponsor, so I can get a sponsor of the podcast, and then the sponsor's paying for my podcasting then, like, you know, and obviously they're getting the benefit of the increased brand awareness and driving traffic to their website or whatever it is that they want me to do. So that's something. But obviously the reason I set up the podcast as well is to perfect my speaking so I can become a global speaker.
Right.
So I've probably got to do some freebies for a while just to show people what I can do, and then grow that after that. So I'm at that stage at the moment. I'm looking for free speaking gigs, and obviously I'm speaking on online events and that sort of thing. And I probably put my own event on at some point as well.
Right, but you have to feed your family and you have to pay your rent. So I'm just curious.
Yeah, so that's why I've still got to do the stuff that I was doing before pivoting. While I get, until I get the income streams on the new stuff, I still got to do a bit of the old stuff as well. But also I'm not concentrating on doing as much as I would do normally because I'm busy. Like normally I'm busy taking on marketing clients, they're busy marketing them. But I'm actually at the moment, I've taken on my most important client ever. And that's me.
Who's that?
That's
me. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm more.
Right,
I'm
but you still have to pay you, like I'm just being,
Yeah, I can't pay me, but I can build myself up so that I can pay me, right, you know?
Right. That makes sense.
So, and during lockdown anyway, I wouldn't have got, I pick up a lot of my customers in, real world meetings and networking and go up face to face. And I knew that wasn't going to happen for a while as soon as lockdown comes. So I just thought, right, take on your own big customer, grow yourself.
Right.
Rather than grow other marketing customers, I grow myself.
Exactly.
And that's why I'm now making an impact globally because I'm growing myself. I've gone from being Wales wide to UK wide to global.
That's great. That makes a lot of sense. The thing is, like I said before, cosmetics, people still need to wash their face and put moisturizer on. So that's why we really haven't been affected that much. First shipping was a little bit difficult, but as soon as we fell under the essential, they made sure all of our shipping is very, very quick. Like I have a friend that's Pampered Chef is a kitchen business. I don't know if you know, and their shipping is like 7 to 8 weeks because it's not considered essential. Yeah. But cosmetics are considered essential, so there really hasn't been much of a change except we're doing everything by video. But we have, and then of course my husband's retired military, so that's another form of income that we have because he was, 28 years is pretty good. So.
Well, I had a little bit of money, as part of the recovery package, if you like, or stopping everyone going bust package. But it was a little bit, because I fell through a lot of the cracks of the big stuff. I couldn't get furloughed, which is when people get their salary, 80% of their salary. I couldn't get that because I wasn't working. I couldn't get the big sole trader money because you had to have certain sets of accounts and whatever. And I just pivoted my business. So I'd gone from
Right.
an older business to a newer business. So I
Right.
just got caught out a little bit, but
Hmm.
you do what you do, I'll survive. I always will. I mean, I don't worry
Yep.
about, I haven't worried about too many things. I've just been concentrating on building. It was a great time for me to pivot, and I've just been
Yep.
concentrating on pivoting. And
Yeah. There's just so many people out there that lost their job, and it's like, how do they eat? It's crazy. It's
yeah, but
absolutely crazy.
there are a lot of people, and there will be victims from this situation as there are from every situation. And there's
Hmm.
people who've lost their lives, people who lost their business, people who lost their incomes, all sorts of things. But and there's a lot of people who have started again. I've had to work hard the last 6 months. I've been 100
Right.
mile an hour because I've
Yeah.
pivoted. So when you pivot your business and you're doing something different,
Right.
there's a lot of things you've got to do. It's like the first year in a business is the hardest year ever. And
Right.
I was 8 years in a previous business, but I've pivoted and that now. But I wanted to anyway, so it was the right
Hmm.
time for me to pivot. It was the right time for me to
Hmm.
become a global speaker, a mentor, a coach, and a podcaster, and all that, because the whole world has joined me now. I've been online and doing all the stuff that people are doing now. I've been doing it for
Right.
8 years. I've been doing it for 20 years, really. I was in a tech
Hmm.
startup business and selling tech solutions around the UK.
Hmm.
So I've been involved in technology and online for 20 odd
Right.
years. Yeah, even a bit more than that, and everyone else has joined up now, everyone was taking that pathway anyway. That's why there's a
Hmm.
lot of people who've gone successfully in this time because they were all
Right.
doing that pathway anyway. Some 20 years, 15
Exactly.
years, 10 years, 5 years.
Hmm.
But the mass market now, everybody else has joined and they joined rapidly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's
Right.
why for me it made sense for me to push my button on my global ambitions because
Hmm.
I'm ahead of all those new people who've just come on. They're going to be taking my space locally in UK, and I'm going
Right.
to be taking the global space.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That's exciting. That's very exciting. Well, I plan to go back and listen to some of your podcasts because you have intrigued me.
Yeah, well, I've had some amazing guests on. I started off with all my Welsh contacts and
Hmm.
connections. Then I also got an Irish network with contacts and connections. Then I pivoted and got a lot more UK contacts and connections on. And I'd say probably the last 2 months, I've had mostly global connections on.
Hmm.
I've had some
Are they
amazing
all
people on.
filed? Are they easy to locate? Like since you have six, since you have so many, is it easy to locate one that I'd be interested in, or did you just have a
The
date
best
on
way
them?
of locating them is if you go to my YouTube channel, which is the Mike Armstrong YouTube channel. If you go to
Hmm.
playlists, I categorize entrepreneurs under the geographical areas they come from.
Perfect.
So I've got like
Perfect.
Welsh biz, UK biz, Irish biz,
Hmm.
global biz, Indian biz, Canadian biz, USA biz. Yeah.
Okay.
So obviously everyone goes under global. The
Right.
ones in Wales, Ireland, England, and Scotland
Hmm.
go under UK and Wales, Ireland, England, Scotland. The
Okay.
ones in America go under USA and global. Ones in Canada, Canada and global. But they're all,
Okay.
most of the people that have come on my podcast have been either podcasters, they've been entrepreneurs, coaches, mentors,
Hmm.
global networkers, all the things I am really, the stuff that resonates with them.
Right. Right.
Some really amazing people on, and there's a bit on there for everyone. I've had over 150 of these Zoom dual chats.
Wow.
Yeah. So out of my 600 on my podcast, all you got to do if you like listening to podcasts rather than YouTube video watching, then all you got to do. I've got about 7 features. I've got
Hmm.
Networker 2018, which is me. I'm an award-winning networker. I won an award in
Hmm.
2018, and I started using the hashtag Networker 2018
Okay.
after winning that award. And I put a lot of my
Hmm.
content under that hashtag. And so on my podcast, hashtag 2018 is all my entrepreneur chats, all my networking
Hmm.
chats. Yeah. And then I've got
Okay.
like Wolf of Wales, which is all my sales training and sales
Hmm.
chats. I've got King of Marketing, which is all my marketing content. I've got Networking 2018 as my networking training as well. So I put that
Hmm.
under my chats and my education about networking. I've got the Voice of Social Media, which is all my social media content. And then I've got Networking Grapevine, which is all the networking events I'm involved in, and I promote them and advertise them. Yeah. So I've got
Yeah.
just different hashtags for different
Hmm.
features. So you can sort of look through all my episodes and pull out which ones you want based on the content that you want, you know?
Great. Perfect.
So yeah, at
Sounds
some point
wonderful.
in the future, I'll probably stick it all into an academy or a universe and charge people entrance to the academy
Hmm.
and have it
Hmm.
all filed and stuff, because it's all
Right.
entrepreneurship training, really.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
all what I've learned through my life, which
Right.
I currently help a lot of older entrepreneurs to learn how to do digital and online. But my
Hmm.
long-term plan is to help young entrepreneurs to grow and develop and become more successful in
Hmm.
business. It's just
Right. Right.
obviously since I've been self-employed, it's the older entrepreneurs that I tend to work for because they tend to
Right.
be able to afford me more.
Right. Right.
But it's the young entrepreneurs I want to help. I want to give people, like I've done it the hard way. 30 years of becoming
Hmm.
a global entrepreneur. I can teach
Hmm.
people to do what I've learned in 30 years, probably in 5 to 10.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
That
if they
sounds
want to
great.
learn, I'll teach them. I don't mind,
Hmm.
because ultimately I might get to, you know, be Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg or one of these guys. But
Hmm.
it'd be hard for me because I've had to do things the hard way and the long way, really.
Hmm.
Because I never come across anyone like me back in the day who would like accelerate my learning. But I've
Hmm.
come across a couple of people now that are in that space, and I'm learning off
Right.
them now. But I want to help
Hmm.
accelerate those youngsters who, they need that help. If I can get them, because then they're more likely to be the Bill Gates and the Mark
Hmm.
Zuckerbergs and the Warren Buffetts. Because the earlier you get going, the more time you put into it, the bigger you'll get the back
Right.
end. You know.
Right.
So
That's very
yeah,
true.
so yeah, and, that's what I'm on a mission to do, which is why I'm going global, because I want to get myself as known as possible, so I can help as
Hmm.
many people as possible.
Right. That
Because
sounds great.
until you've done something yourself major, people won't listen to you anyway, which is fair enough. Why should
Right.
they?
Right.
Why should they listen to you until you've done what they want to do? I,
Hmm.
I I listen to the people who are doing what I want to do. So I
Right.
encourage people not to listen to somebody until they've done what you want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot
Exactly.
of people that tell you a lot of stuff, but you want to learn off the people who've been to where you want to get to.
Hmm. Very
Yeah.
well. Yep. Sounds
So
good.
that's it. But it's been great getting you on my podcast, and
Well, thank you. I
yeah,
appreciate the opportunity. And if I can help you in any way, if there's anybody you want to meet that you know that I know, I have a pretty big LinkedIn account, like over 1,000 connections. So if I can help you with anybody, just let me know.
yeah. Well, just keep an eye out for people who have got something important to say or something good to say. When they're launching a new business or promoting something or anything like that.
Mhm.
I'll happily get them on my podcast, talk to them about what they're doing, and put
Great.
them in front of my
Well,
audience.
I'm thinking of somebody specifically. It's a female, like you just said, you don't know a lot of females. I know a lot of females. She is a retired chief master sergeant, which you also don't see much of.
No.
And she's now on the speaker circuit where she's a John Maxwell team speaker, and she's a wonderful speaker. And then I also happen to know the first female chief master sergeant of the Air Force, Joanne Bass. She and I are not really good friends, but I do know her, and I have chatted with her through LinkedIn. So, the first female chief master sergeant of the United States Air Force is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, definitely, and
So,
so yeah, if you want anyone really, I like interesting. I like people, but the more
okay.
interesting, the better. But I like people. I
Hmm.
like helping people, working out. If there's anyone I know that they should be connected to, and all that sort of thing. And so likewise, if you see any of my guests and you want to know them, most of them are open networkers like me. So just approach them and say, "Oh, I seen you speaking to Mike on the podcast.
Hmm.
Something really resonated with me. I loved what you said. Blah blah blah. I think we can work well together. Blah blah blah." Do that as an in. If you want me to
Okay.
introduce you to anyone, again, if you see any of my guests and you think, oh, I'd love to get connected with them or whatever, I'm more than happy to do an introduction on WhatsApp or LinkedIn or Messenger. I'm all about helping people grow. Like, the
Right.
teamwork makes the dream work. And the more we all help each other, the better we'll all be and the further we'll all
Absolutely.
get towards where we want to get
Absolutely.
to,
Absolutely. That sounds good. Well,
Yeah,
great talking
really
to you,
good.
Mike.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, and yeah, thanks for taking the video off and feeling confident and comfortable. And yeah, good luck with doing that more, because it's the way forward. It's the way it's got to be done these days. So keep taking that video off, keep getting the hair done, and putting the lippy on, and just own it, because you know what you're doing. I don't need to tell you that.
Yeah.
You know that. So just own it.
Okay.
But
All
have a
right.
great evening or great day. Okay.
Great. See you tomorrow on Speed Networking.
Yeah,
Thanks,
see you on
Mike.
the Speed Networking.
Okay.
Cheers.
Okay.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Right, there's nothing else left to say other than have a great day. I know I will. And thanks very much for listening. Cheers. Bye bye.